Okay, so this week we are talking about our perception of the LGBT community before we became a part of it. My perception of the LGBT community before I finally came to terms with who I was very negative. And that was largely due to the fact that my parents were Catholic, and they raised me as a conservative, sheltered Catholic. So whenever we saw depictions of people who were in the LGBT community, or we saw them, out in a social aspect, my parents looked at they looked at them with a negative response and almost kind of a disgust. And then when I went to high school, my opinions and my homophobia strengthened because of the LGBT youth I saw at my high school. The lesbians at my high school were very, very butch, and they would always make it a point to express their sexuality, whether it be by making out with girls outside of class, or dressing very masculine, or, parading around saying that they like girls. And so for me, I found that depiction of their sexuality very negative. I didn't like how they represented themselves. And in turn, I thought, well, if I come out in high school, I'm going to be looked at the same way that I'm looking at them. Like very negative, very much with a sense of disgust because they're parading it around. And on top of that, our GSA at our school, during one of their GSA campaign things, they said they put up posters, stating facts, which normal, organizations do. But one of them said 75% of lesbians play softball. And at the time, I played varsity softball. So I looked at the GSA very negatively for that, singling out a single sport. And so I thought, well, people are going to start looking more closely at the members of the softball team to see what kind of characteristics they exhibit and see if they, fit the profile of being a lesbian. So then I tried really hard not to be placed in that, lumped in the category of being very masculine like I saw them. And also the gay men in our school, too, were very flamboyant. And they pretty much wore their sexuality on their sleeve. And so I saw that as really disgusting, to be honest. Because they shouldn't represent themselves that way. And so I really try to stay away from anything gay. And if I was asked about my opinions of homosexuals, I would just kind of mirror that of the person who I was talking to. Just so I wouldn't be seen as more of a lesbian or, belonging to the LGBT community. But even though I had all those negative views, when I finally came to terms with who I was, I started opening my eyes and seeing these people in a different light, as expressing themselves for who they are, and not wanting to mask who they are. I know my opinion was, like I said, very skewed because of my parents and because of the way I saw people acting at school. But I encourage you all that even though these people may be saying a myriad of negative things about the LGBT community, if you don't know anybody who's LGBT yourself, or before you decide to come out, or if you're questioning whether you should come out, I would say that you need to formulate your own opinion of the LGBT community and not let others sway you in one direction or the other with your perception. And I know that it always changes when you meet somebody in the LGBT community, and, their personality or the person or who they are really influences your perception of people, of a community, of a race. I would say let that be your guide. judge people for their personality and their characteristics and their traits rather than how they identify. If you viewed our community negatively before you came out, I think that's okay. And I think that's largely in part due because I think that's part of, being scared of who we really are. And, maybe living a sheltered life or a conservative life and not seeing the LGBT community in a positive light. So if that happened to you, or if you had really positive views of the LGBT community, yeah, we would love to hear it, like Steph said, so leave it in the comments below. Yeah, thanks for watching.